In the Philippines, we say mabuhay. Mabuhay. Yeah. Good morning, a pleasant morning. My apologies for being quite late. There are several public hearings going on. And of course, this is very, very much important considering at one time I was also a Deputy Minister for the Environment and Natural Resources. Ma'am Cecil is actually my boss. So when she told me to do the welcoming remarks, more than happy to do that. A privilege, Madam. Once again, magandang umaga sa lahat to the 5 congresspersons, Congressman Acosta, Alba. You're married to Acosta before. Sorry. And Tolentino, very young. We have about, how many are you? Below 35?
28.
29.
I know you're 29, below 35 members of parliament. I think we have about 60 or 90.
Below 40.
Around 40, yeah. So one of those highest number of very youthful or young parliamentarians in the 20th Congress. So we're happy to report that also. Of course, we have a fellow party list member in front of me, our always the wisdom of the party list. Walang iba si United Senior Citizens Party List, ma'am. Magsaysay Aquino. Hello, ma'am. Morning. And then from the province of or Tarlac, Christy Angeles. And a party list also, one tahanan, meaning tahanan is a home. Yata, no? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, home, one tahanan, not odokado. That being said, it's a pleasure to welcome everyone, especially our foreign friends. Ma'am Cecil, your former colleague or former Congressman Kurt Weldon, former Vice Chair of Armed Services Committee, and founder and chairman of the One World for Life. We also have Ms. Yvonne Baque, former Minister of Ecuador, and a former Ambassador of USA, and former President of the Andean Parliament. Hedva Sir, if I pronounce it correctly, UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador for Cultural Diplomacy. Good morning. And Mr. Ali Mohammed, Special Envoy to the Climate Change, the Office of President Ruto of Kenya. Thank you. And Pierre Tembe, or Temp, Secretary of the Indigenous Issues, States of Para, Brazil, and Dr. Victor Sibek, Chairman of the South-South Cooperation Council. Sir, good morning. Vijay Karia, winner of the 2024 UN Prize for eliminating digital waste from artificial intelligence. Good morning. And lastly, Mohammed, I hope everyone has been acknowledged, Mohammed Al-Akham, Mayor of Fujairah. Is that correct? Fujairah, former president of the International Theatre Institute. On behalf of our leader of we call it Batasan Pambansa, the House of Representatives, Speaker Boji Faustino D. III, we'd like to welcome everyone into the House of the People. We are gathered today not only to mark the Climate Change Consciousness Week and to commemorate the 80th anniversary of United Nations, but more importantly, to converge for climate action. As a resident of Liloan, Cebu, which has been on the news of late, which unfortunately was devastated about 2-3 weeks ago by Typhoon Tino, heavy floods, earthquake, floods, and the rest. Lots of, many died, almost 250 to the count. I know firsthand what it means the climate crisis becomes a harsh reality. It really hit home in my hometown. And I've seen the immeasurable cost of inaction. Far too many lives lost, far too many families displaced, and far too much infrastructure and agriculture wiped out instantly. Some say, yes, it's an act of God, but it is more of an act of neglect. Act of neglect. One influencer said that. That is why I thank all my dear colleagues here today, our partners at home and abroad, representatives from both government and civil society, for reaffirming through your presence. We're all bound by the same hardships of climate change and the same hope or hopes for climate justice. Building a more inclusive and resilient future demands that we learn from each other so we can legislate sustainable social change. As I already mentioned, as a former Deputy or Assistant Secretary for Environment and Natural Resources, the then Secretary or Senator Hierson Alvarez, ma'am, was my boss, as well as a labor leader and a lawmaker. Let me add my voice in underscoring collaboration for just transition, to leave no one, especially workers, behind in our response to climate change. Through continued upskilling and reskilling for green jobs like renewable energy, pollution reduction, natural resources conservation, and environmental compliance. As I underscored in my privileged speech last Monday, and I mentioned, this representation is of strong opinion that this country and the world need the most today is scientifically harness our collective experience of vulnerability, not only to floods and storms, but also to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, for future resilience in the new normal that this climate change is bringing. May today's convergence of climate action be filled with climate-related inputs and initiatives to pave pathways to collaboration and for a comprehensive and coherent climate resilience strategy, to sound land use planning, responsible zoning, massive reforestation, sustainable watershed, waste management, and a deeply rooted culture of preparedness. You know, my colleagues are here. We have yet to pass the National Land Use Act, the delineation of the final forest limits, which is actually a constitutionally mandated. When I was still an assistant minister, we have to pass also the Sustainable Forest Management Act. In this event, lastly, in this event and beyond, may we always be reminded that there can be no climate justice without social justice. The future is not worth building when we leave behind the old, our indigenous peoples, persons with disability, the poor, and the youth. But as long as we are together, I am confident that we can and must build a stronger and a fairer future for all. Daghang salamat, maraming salamat. Thank you. Once again, good morning.